Get going here. Appreciate y'all joining. Prior to the holiday. Hope you're teed up to have a great holiday season ahead. This is those listening to recording December 22nd before Christmas. We will be off next week, so there will not be a session on the 29th, next Monday between Christmas and New Year's, and then start back up again with the schedule as usual, 2:30s Mondays. What is it? Monday, January 5th. So, um, floor is yours. Who's got something? What can we talk about? What's the topics? What are you working on that you need to make some progress on, or something that's not clicking? Just anything on your mind.
Um, I want to have my topics planned out for when I reach out to my database throughout the year.
Love it.
So,
Love it.
four total, and then one for homeowners and one for non, if you could.
Love it.
I know you've talked about it before, but
Yeah. Tell me how you're going about the process, the planning and the thinking about it.
what do you mean?
We're here. We're here. This is the process.
Yeah.
Totally
All I
fair.
know is
Appreciate
that I
you.
want to have it ready so I'm not like, so I'm confident in it and I don't know,
Yeah,
ready to go.
sure. Totally. Yeah, so a couple things that come to mind. One would be, you know, I mean, I'm gonna talk out of both sides of my mouth a lot here as I usually do, but I could present a perspective where you don't need to worry about four topics. You just need to worry about the first one that you're gonna go use. Right now, if the exercise for you and how you think through it, how you get yourself ready, is to challenge yourself to come up with multiple or four that are all spread out over the course of the year. And then in doing that, it allows you to like go with the one that you're most confident and comfortable with first. Like that, I could see that playing out, right? But really, why I lean into like a one at a time type of approach is that you'll find out what the next one's going to be as you're making these contacts, right, throughout the first quarter. And as you're finding out what works and what doesn't, and just like seeing how the experience plays out, will likely, lead to your like in the moments, like the real time to development stuff that's going to occur as as you get into it from there. The other piece of advice I would give you is like, don't overthink it. From the sense of, it sounds like Lauren, you're trying to go to a place of real estate topic, which is great. And with that said, like different level of application and thinking that you have to apply overall, right? But like still don't overthink it. But if you're hearing this and like, man, I'm not ready to start talking, calling people to ask them about anything real estate related. I'm good with just the notion of like get into relationship with your people and make sure the real estate casually gets brought up. Now, it's counterintuitive coaching advice because, like, yes, I do want you to go out and attempt to provide value or offer value to their real estate lives as a consistent thing, as a consistent practice. On my end, I know I just gotta, we gotta go from 0 to 1 first, right? And then 1 to 2. So if you're hearing this and like, I haven't made contact with my people yet, just up until I don't know the first week of January, right? You can get away with the happy holidays and into a happy New Year thing. Like I don't know, pet peeve of mine, but I tend to not really like Happy New Year beyond the fifth or sixth, whatever, in the January, right? Just to get off it, and move on with into reality, right? But like you can, this week, next week, kind of there can be a spin to it that first week of January if you want. But you can take the easy low hanging fruit to use this time of year to just get you in conversation with your people. Now again, like if you're hearing this and like, okay, yeah, I want to level up from that. I want to be making more proactive attempt to offer real estate value type of conversations happening, you got to decide what you're comfortable with. I'm hesitant to even like rattle things off for you to grasp onto right now, right? Because I don't want you to necessarily force it. But where I would go is, at least to start with the mindset of like you're dealing with people's homes and everything that comes within that, you know, dynamic of like it's their home, it's where their family is, and it's also, the place where everything needs to be functional and right. So if there's just all these topics that branch off of that, right, to where you're, if you're making it known that you're their resource for all things going on with their home, that's the way I think of this job, so to speak, overall. Anytime that somebody, has a leak in their sink and they think of you for a referral for a plumber, because I'm sure you have one because you're in real estate, like you're in the driver's seat with that relationship. So is there a topic of, the messaging around like, hey, if you ever need a plumber, I've got you. Let me know. Now that I'm being, I guess, slightly figurative when I say it that way, just to draw the correlation to like a topic can be, do you need a plumber? Obviously, that out of left field is kind of, weird. But you can repackage that into, hey, I just want you to know if you ever need anything done around the house, I've got a really strong list of partners and vendors that I trust that I'd love to refer to you if you ever need anything. So if you think, just think of me when it comes to anything that needs to be done around the house, I've got a guy. And maybe you start a I got a guy marketing campaign off of it. Now, this type of idea also implies that you've got a guy, right? So there is, you know, some people don't like the term, but there is value to fake it till you make it. However, you do need to, understand that you're going to have to perform to expectations that you set. So anything that you're going out and trying to talk to people about, if they take you up on it, you want to be in a position to perform. So make sure any strategy that you're developing to use that you can actually, you can actually follow through on. I'm going to take a pause. I know I ramble and get excited and go out into space sometimes. That makes sense. Lauren, you want to do any like specific to you what you can come up with?
Uh, well,
Jen
I'm
spot.
thinking about like non-homeowners now too, because I feel like if they already own a home, it's a little bit easier to bring up, like, a vendor or whatever. But if they're renting, they usually, well, I don't know, but they usually don't need to do that themselves. So,
To me, I think like, is it appropriate to get aggressive with certain relationships, right? And I'm assuming if you have a relationship where it's somebody you're willing to contact anyway, then I think the door could be open for this to where, if there's a non-homeowner, somebody who rents, to come up with a strategy that's more direct and more aggressive that just asks them, if they're interested in ever becoming a homeowner because you're helping people. You've started working with people that have a 5 year plan or a 10 year plan or a 7 year plan or a 2 year plan and making it known that, you're not a instant gratification type of agent and you are taking things seriously to where you want to help with, you know, their needs, even if they can't come to fruition for another few years. And now you've got access to the programs and the financing options and the grants and the pulse of the market to know what people are doing to really combat affordability and and make it work, even though prices are still going up and you know interest rates aren't necessarily coming down that much, and affordability is a buzzword, right? Well, we can play offense against that. We can attack it. It's a topic that we touched on last week, I'm pretty sure, in terms of lead development, right? And really like thinking of your pipeline as a 30, 60, 90 month type of pipeline and not 30, 60, 90 days. If you have the mindset as an agent to treat the business that way, to where, this business is, I say this a lot, that's 95% of the time you invest in this business is going to be pro bono type of work. You're going to do things all day long that you're doing, and you're not having a direct, like, compensation after doing it, right? To the tune of 95% of the activities they do in this business plays out that way. And only 5% of the time are you actually writing or negotiating an offer that leads to you getting paid. So I think there's like, okay, first of all, just have the mindset for that in this business, because then it leads to a conversation on seeking to control what you can control that is designed to produce the results. But you do have to understand that like this is a really dangerous business when it comes to instant gratification and just like you know the notion that you can just be kind of like a sales assassin, right? And go out there and just convert at a high level all the time and really, just turn it on and flip a switch and start converting, you know, random conversation into leads and into people that just go under contract right away. Like that's not what this business is. This business is more in the nurture and lead development game and playing that at a high level so that you've helped people through what is, you know, affordability is going to be the buzzword for many years to come. So if you're not helping people combat that, you're just hoping they do it themselves, or you're just promoting them to stay stagnant and do nothing. So I think to take it as a responsibility that you have as a professional in your community and define community as just your core group of people or your entire database of 300 people or Monroe County, if you want to be, or New York State, whatever. But for you to go out and be the high level professional that seeks to, offer value to people in their real estate life, that's going to create a flow of, people that are interested in doing something in real estate and trust you. From there, you're going to make your money or lose the money based on how well you help them when they're nowhere near ready to transact. So for the topic of, okay, how do I target all the other non-homeowners? Treat them as people that want to buy a home, that want to become a homeowner, and then understand that there's just a dynamic that exists out there to where it's tough. Things are a lot more expensive these days. It's not just a foregone conclusion that, you turn 30 and you settle down and get married and have a family of four, and all of a sudden you're in a 4-bedroom colonial in the suburbs. Like that was reality back in 1980. It's not the case anymore. The one thing I want to, that really kind of correlates to the agenda I had is um, understanding the consumer is part of what we just talked about, but also understanding your competition and what's going on there. And what I mean by competition would mainly be technology. Okay, but with technology comes direct competitors like Zillow, um, you know, certainly other brokerages using technology, but I want to correlate this to like consumers operating with technology can get to a point where they don't need you as their real estate agent. And that's your competition. And I want you to think of your competition that, in terms of your database and the people that are in your world and the choices that they have uh, in terms of how they transact in real estate. It very well does come down to a choice between you and another agent as competition as well. But I really want you to think of this as more so choices made as a result of how the consumers use technology and AI and Google and Zillow and these types of things. And first and foremost, they're either using technology or they're using a person. Using them for what? They're using to get information, to get answers, right? Like the day and age that we live in already and that we're evolving to even more is that you can get everything that you need for anything, in a more detailed and easy to understand and act on format than ever right now. That includes advice and processes for how to sell or buy a house. And just what AI has done to consumer search habits and trends is really part of the topic here. So it becomes competition when your consumers are going for their real estate answers to their questions to a robot or another realtor, which you've got to be concerned about. And I don't want to see concerned in the too negative of a sense to where like sky is falling or anything, but it's just a matter of understanding this so that you know how to play offense from here. But they're going to get answers elsewhere, and then they're going to talk to you. Best case scenario at this point, this day and age, is that your consumer that you're looking to transact with is going to ask their AI tool of choice or just Google questions that they are looking for answers on and how to go about what they're looking to do. So you need to be prepared to know what that answer is. And I would just directly use like any appointment that you're going on for, say, a listing. Like I would talk to AI about that house as if you were a consumer and try to think of consumer type of questions that they'd be asking their AI tool for answers to, that they're then just going to have you come into their living room or at their kitchen table to validate or see how you perform to, what are basic but thought out AI type answers. This is just like how the world is evolving. You're going to be in a position where you're being interviewed to validate what they already know or to see what else you do on top of what, average agent stuff would be, that they got from AI or Google. So the mission becomes just like how many people can you build a trusted relationship with and train them to where you're telling them directly, like, just get with me if you ever need anything. Skip everything else. I'm your person. I'm your robot. Practically speaking, I'm not here to be naive and think that we can just change the course of human consumer behavior. So, with that said, it becomes really, really important to understand that, you have to assume whatever question you're being asked or whatever point you're trying to articulate, that they've already gotten the answer from somebody else. And that somebody else is a robot that is researching the depths of the interweb to find an answer for them. So how you use AI becomes key. Okay. In the sense of just like how you prepare for an appointment, how you come to understand, certain topics that, especially, in all of your tenure in the business so far, right? Like you're learning and you're training and you're being coached, and that's great. And also incorporate AI into that because as you're learning about topics from, real people, you also bring it to the technology space or the AI space, whatever you want to think of it as, to kind of, you know, cement or validate or just have the perspective of how the robot is going to answer the same question or talk about the same topic. The other dynamic of this topic is understanding the intertwined aspect of like AI and technology, and then also direct competition to your business, such as, a brokerage like Zillow, what they've grown to be. And now how like just this real estate search function is changing as a result of Zillow. And just this past week, Google was announced to be entering the real estate search game. And it's not going to stop, frankly, in terms of just there's a lot of money at stake in the industry that is real estate commissions and real estate transactions. So the consumer is just going to have more and more options from here as to how to go about their business. Like all coming back to the same point that if you're able to train your people as to who their resource is, what their resource is when they need real estate help, you're in the driver's seat. If you're not doing that, it makes it that much more difficult of a path to get them to remember that you're their resource. Like you have to, in terms of, what to say to people, right? Like something to the effect of that. Like train them to make sure they know to contact you for any little question, big or small, when it comes to anything to do with real estate or their home or their property or their investments. If you have a mindset that leads to, a skill set of action, around that premise. And now you're going out to look to provide, offer value of all things, their home, their investments, their, property, just their, whether they need to buy, sell, or invest, whether they need a plumber or an electrician or, new furniture. How much of a resource can you be to your consumers in your community? So I keep going down the rabbit hole, but what I just mentioned of a resource in the community, like what if somebody that moved into the area that you just sold them a home to is calling you, 2 weeks after closing because they want a restaurant recommendation? They know that you're the person that would be a good one to get it from because of how you've interacted with them throughout. I don't know. This may seem annoying to hear, like, what do you mean I got to be fielding restaurant recommendations from my people that I sell to after the fact? But again, 95% of your work is going to be pro bono and free. And this is the type of stuff that is trivial and not sensical as it may seem. It really does add up over time if you're positioned that way. When you're positioned as a top community resource on many different topics, the beauty of it is just like a lot of topics get tied to our industry. What are you hearing?
Definitely a lot about affordability. I mean, know it's the biggest topic right now, but just affordability in general, and yeah, I mean just affordability.
Yeah. So I think I'll give you some perspective just in terms of like as we wrap up 2025, right, and head into a new year. What I can tell you is that um this time last year, 2024, going into 25, affordability was still a major topic, coupled with demand, meaning like, are we going to have any because of the affordability problems, because of the overall market conditions, and this, that, and the other? But we were, riding on the, very much the downslope of the bottom of the barrel of the real estate market nationally going into this year. And the big question was, around demand. And we still have them. However, this year was kind of a story of like, okay, we're coming out of the bottom of the barrel. We're not fully recovered. We're not in a booming real estate market transactionally. We're still around 4 million homes being sold, and peak market conditions are 6 million, but we haven't gone down further, I guess, nationally. So still a topic on the demand side, but now it becomes like, okay, affordability is not going to stop, demand problems are not going to stop. What are we going to do to play offense against that? What are we going to do to attack affordability? What are we going to do to find a way to offer value to the topics on affordability, topics on generational elements when it comes to real estate, right? And just there's you know so many more transactions happening with older home buyers and sellers compared to younger, and there's such a big lock-in effect across the board in the real estate market. Like, how do we go about and offer value to get people into our world to then develop, right, and find solutions with them, and nurture them along the way in a knowing that, yeah, it may take a couple years to get somebody ready to buy at this point because of affordability problems. To me, there's a huge opportunity in the year ahead for agents that are going to be proactive to do that, and the strength that they'll build for a business and a career from here as a result, combined with this whole technological conversation we just had. Like, if you don't do that as an agent, I have a lot of fear, because now you're just promoting not having a reason to use you. If you're not in their face and offering value, when they don't need it, when they need it, it's going to be easy enough for them to get it from somewhere else, i.e., technology. Combined with the old school sense of it, of just like, maybe they are old school and they go next door to their neighbor and like, hey, I know you got a really good real estate agent. What's their name?
Um, I've had those rental leads that you've been sending me. I've been working on, and I have some people who I've given them steps to be ready to buy a home, right? What they need to do. Probably like maybe 6 months to a year out. How often do you think I should be, checking in with them and kind
Right.
of seeing where they're at?
Yeah, great question. I think it's a customized answer for each check-in based on where you left off before. So what I want you to hear from that doesn't offer any solution for you, right? Other than a thought. What I want you to hear from that is to really be purposeful to close to the next step on every conversation, right? To where you're forcing yourself before you hang up the phone or before you move on, to where it's coming through. Um, Before you move on to the next, like finish a call, you're asking them like, hey, does it make sense if I give you a call in a couple months? Do you think you're going to be able to save any in the next couple months? And if you want, I'll touch base, then and see how things are going. Or even if it's just there's not really any steps that they're taking, but you just tell them when you're going to be following up based on a feel and make sure they know. Now, the default setting to a contact, a nurture plan is at most once every 3 months to put you on pace with the MREA type of lifestyle of how to lead generate and follow up with people that, once every 3 months, 4 times a year, you're having a personal connection. So as much as possible as you could tee up that, hey, I'm going to be calling you in 3 months to insert hopefully whatever it is that you're working on. And hopefully the cadence picks up, right? To where it gets to be like, hey, all right, I'm going to call you in another week to make sure that you took that step to contact that credit counselor or pull your credit report, whatever it is, right? But really to force everyone to think in a manner where you're acting in order to close to take the next step. It's a big concept. And that everything that you do is, designed to where it's like, they know why you're contacting. They have clarity on what it is that you're going to be doing for them. You have clarity on what you need to follow up with them based on your system telling you, hey, you're due to contact this person. It's been 3 months. 3 months ago, they said they're working on getting a new job and pay off a credit card bill. And after that, they're hoping to be in a position to save some money and start saving for a new home. And their goal is to buy within 2 years. Well, 3 months when that rolls around, it's like, hey, I thought of you. I was helping somebody the other day, and I wanted to know if you landed with a new job yet. What I could tell you, the momentum going into 2026 is this. They're nationally, the mortgage application data that's coming in the last month or so is a couple months maybe is the highest levels that it's been at for the last I think 30 months, so about 3 years. So there's a lot of people teeing up their options right now, teeing up prepping for spring selling season. It's just the way of how it goes. I mean, I was going to say don't ask me why, but I think it's mainly weather related, right? But the spring market nationally is always the busiest time of year. But there's a lot of people teeing up their moves right now. So demand is improving. And affordability still a topic. Not going to say it's not improving, but it's not cured. So treat this as a really good opportunity for your business coming up in the year ahead because the data is there to show that it should be. And this is from my perspective, I've been doing this since 2012 and I haven't felt a season like this season in the fall of how unseasonal it has been in the sense of like, wow, this thing's still moving. This market is still busy, it's still extreme. Every year, this time of year, I go into the next few weeks where it's like, okay, I'm wondering, what's it going to be like come January? Whatever the first Monday is after New Year's, right? Usually is, kind of a good gauge as to is the phone ringing or not. And every year so far in my career, it's been like, okay, good. Real estate market didn't go anywhere over the holidays. We're back type of thing. And this year, it's just like I prep everybody for that to explode, whereas usually it's stagnant right now and makes a comeback come the start of January. But spring market starts in January. So rest up, get charged up, get clarity on what it is that you need to have a successful 2026. That comes from yours truly. contact me outside of this session. Like, put me to work. I'll be available next couple weeks before January. So if you need something, like, go get after it. But, you know, enjoy this time of year, rest up, recharge. Remember what you're doing this for. Ultimately, we want to work hard and play harder. So this is a great time of year to check the box on the play side.